My name is Brian Vagg. I own a company called Sprouting Soil. I'm a soil biology consultant, and I trained underneath Dr. Elaine Ingham in the Soil Food Web School. And today we're out at Gala Vineyards, which is a vineyard out in Placerville, California. And this is a vineyard that from the ground up has really started with a biological focus in mind. This was the whole property, it's 10 acres, but it used to be an old hayfield. And so it was hayed for quite a period of time. And really the land was beaten up. When we came out here, it was very compacted, a lot of early successional weed species. And so we knew we needed some soil transformation before we actually put this vineyard in here. And it started with, first we broke up all that compaction. So we got subsoil in here. We broke it down to about 24 to 30 inches in depth. And so we ripped apart those really heavy compacted areas. And then we added compost in as well to try to bring some organic matter back into the equation. And once we had ripped the soil and added some compost back in, then we went into a planting phase where we're going to actually put and from the bare root vines that we got, we did soak them in compost extract to inoculate them before they actually went in the ground with some mycorrhizal spores as well. And as we planted them with a handful of really good, what we call biologically complete compost. So this is compost that had all the right constituent organisms that make up a healthy soil food web. And I had to say that when we planted these bare roots in, they were not in the greatest shape either. They had actually been in storage, dark storage, for probably longer than they should have been. They actually started to push out some energy and growing without any photosynthesis. And so we were a little concerned when we first got those the bare root in that, well, they're going to be a little bit weak coming into the system. But we were in the high 90s of take, which means that we had very little loss after we planted these into the systems, which was fantastic. And then we ran the vines in here for a year as rootstock to really try to push root growth and get the rootstock very, very healthy before we actually put graft on. Then we grafted last year, and those grafts grew up, did a little bit more pruning, and this is what you see now. These plants are really, really healthy. They're pushing up really, really well. And so really that's the approach. We haven't used any chemical products on this property from the get-go of the project. It's been simply compost extracts, and compost teas. And with a really strong focus of trying to put biology into the soil. It was very devoid. You can also see too, right now this is a cover crop that's dying back because it's the time of year, but we've introduced cover crops into the soil as well to again try to boost up the organic matter, but also to really foster the microbial life. All this cover crop is just pushing out exudates and feeding the microbes that are eventually going to also then help feed all the vines that we see here. And so overall, I think we've taken a pretty straightforward biological approach, and it's been very successful. I mean, I'm very happy with the way that the actual vineyard is coming out. I would say this is the first project for me that is not a transformation. This is actually a from scratch. And I'm very lucky to actually have a wonderful client. His name's Alex. He's standing behind the camera. You can't see him at the moment. But what was really good about working with Alex is that he had a focus from the beginning, which was we want to make natural wine. I want to be able to apply these practices and not go down the whole chemical paradigm. And so he's been very committed to all the different practices that we've been trying to put into place, and with probably some resistance as well from the local community. There's a lot of grape growers around here, so I think they give him a little bit of a ribbon as far as what are you doing this crazy stuff out here, and just from the wine community in general. There are now movement to natural winemaking, so I think this is becoming much more thought about or adoptable, but still he's a pioneer in the fact that he's really taken that leap and said, yeah, I want to go this route. So it's been a fantastic blessing for me to work with somebody like Alex that really wants to focus in on these types of growing principles and practices. I'm sure there's a consumer element as far as I want to be able to consume products that aren't loaded with potential chemical residues that are going to harm me, that type of thing. But I also believe from a winemaker standpoint, where this is really going to take off is that the expression of terroir, the flavor that you get from the land. And this is my opinion, and I don't know if there's science that kind of backs this up, but in the chemical paradigm, I believe that you're going to be reducing or losing some of that terroir because the plant's not necessarily getting the nutrients from the natural landscape and kind of building, that phenols and all the terpenes and all the things that go along with that, I don't think are expressed as strongly. So we'll find out as we go through and have this from the get-go, what kind of terroir that we're going to get from this kind of grape operation.
I'm willing to bet because the microbes are and precipitation too, but it's really the microbes that are releasing the nutrients from the rocks and the minerals, the pebbles.
Right, yeah.
And that's the flavor.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's, I think, the thrust of the natural winemaking is also the terroir. Because really, at the end of the day, that's what differentiates yourself from the other winemakers. People are getting wine because of the flavor, the taste, right? Well, there's the alcohol component as well. But, as far as choosing one wine or another, people are going to choose ones that they think have the best flavor. And terroir is something that's very important to winemakers. So moving forward, so we want to make sure that the soil biome is healthy or optimal for the plant. So we do take soil samples and we do assays of biological components. So we look at how much bacteria and fungi, types of fungi that are there. The protists, which are an essential key component of the food web, where they predate upon the bacteria and help with the nutrient cycling. So we're looking for protists, we're looking for the different nematodes. And nematodes are always a weird thing when you talk to farmers, because most farmers, they think of nematodes as just this awful thing. The root-feeding nematodes, they're going to destroy my crops, but in reality that there are a lot, in fact, many beneficial nematodes that help in that nutrient cycling, and so we want to make sure that we are fostering those in the soil, and then pushing to make sure we see microarthropods and we get the earthworms are starting to really move through the system in here. And so doing the biological assessments helps us understand, as we apply our practices, are we moving the biology to where this plant needs it? And if the biology is not moving, then it becomes detective work. We have to investigate why. What are the causes? Is it contamination of some sort? Is it a management practice that somebody's using it's a small nuance we didn't realize, but it's causing harm to the biology. So the biological assessments help us in that sense. And then we'll be moving into doing plant sap analysis. So it's going to be having the biology, if we can see it moving along, but we want to make sure that it's cycling nutrients, and that will be expressed in the plant itself. And so when we look at the plant sap, we'll be able to tell, okay, yeah, it's getting all the constituent nutrients that the plant needs. We're moving this along in the right direction. And then if we've got hiccups along the way, then we just figure out, okay, why? And really for us, I don't like to get into treating symptoms. There are cases when you're going to lose a crop, I got to treat a symptom. But I want to find out what is the root cause. What caused that particular symptom to occur? And we tackle that versus just put a Band-Aid on it. And so that's, again, another focus that we have here. And some of the tools that we have, plant sap analysis, biological assessments, even the soil organic chemistry is somewhat useful for us. I think plant sap analysis and the biological assessment is more useful, but we can find out some things from the soil chemical analysis as well. And it's taking all of that data and then looking for correlations and then making some analysis of it and saying, all right, this is where we stand, this is what we should do. And let that guide our practices versus just saying, hey, we put a 3-year plan into place, we follow it, and so be it. It's going to either work or not work. I think we have to take a much more thoughtful approach.
Soil is the linchpin to life, to civilization, to health. If we want a healthy future, to fight environmental collapse, to live regeneratively and ethically, and to experience a life of abundance and freedom, we want healthy and abundant soil everywhere. But that means we need to relearn old ways and learn some new ways to build, cycle, and partner with soil and soil life. We can change the world radically, but it's up to us. We have to make those choices. We have to partner with soil and soil life. It takes our participation and support. Will you join us? Regenerative Soil, the full program, we're going to dive deep. We're going to be looking commercial, we're going to be looking DIY, we're going to be going garden, we're going to be going farm scale. We're going to cover it all. We want to serve everyone at all levels, and we want to create that fluency micro to macro, so that we can spread the regeneration of our soil, our ecosystems, all our systems, all across the world. You can do this. You can regenerate soil, because regenerative soil is the linchpin for life. It's the linchpin for all systems, all of our civilization. Everything is running on this. Everything is based on this. Everything is relying upon this. Check out the link down below. Sign up and join us in Regenerative Soil, the full online course. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm Matt Powers. Grow abundantly, learn daily, and live regeneratively.